Hey guys! So a few weeks ago, I just completed my associate degree in advertising and marketing communications at Fashion Institute of Technology. I'm still going on for another 2 years for my bachelor degree, but I felt like this is the perfect time for me to talk about my experiences and a general review about FIT as an international student. So FIT stands for Fashion Institute of Technology. It is a SUNY, that is State University of New York, and within the school there are a lot of different majors, from liberal arts to design and to business. So people come to FIT not only because of fashion or fashion design, they also come here for arts major like illustration or fine arts, things like that. And we also have different design majors apart from fashion design, such as communication design, interior design, things like that. But the largest major in FIT is FBM, that is Fashion Business Merchandising or Fashion Business Management, I'm not sure. But it's about training the student become a buyer and be a part of the fashion industry. I am not in FBM major, I am in AMC. It is Advertising and Marketing Communications, as I mentioned. This major is different. For this major, they train people to become PR, copywriter, going to data research or marketing, creative marketing, things like that. We also do like video production kind of things in our major. So this major is not all about fashion. For the male and female ratio in FIT, I believe it's like 80 to 85% are females and the rest is males. Most of the international students are Korean or Chinese. There are some Japanese I met, and some people from Indonesia, some people from Europe, a few Canadians, and I only met a few people from Taiwan. Because this is a SUNY college, so most of the students here are New York State resident. Applications for international students and in-state students are different. For international students, you have to submit your TOEFL score, your high school transcript, your essay. And I found this is not that hard compared to other traditional college I applied to, because they all require SAT. And taking an SAT takes a lot of time and effort, and it's not easy like TOEFL. You gotta work on it for years. And because FIT only have 2 scores from you, one is TOEFL, another is high school transcript, they don't really know you as a person, so essay takes a lot of part in your application. So for essay, try to talk about more about yourself, your ambitions, and why do you want to come to FIT? Why do you want to go in this major? And how do art and fashion relate to your life? Something different from applying to traditional college than to FIT is that when you're applying to FIT, you really gotta choose a major. You can't go with undecided or undeclared major as to most of the traditional college can do. Because of that, most of the students in our school are very ambitious. They know what they want, they know what they do. Another thing for applying to FIT is that you can't send your score directly to FIT. Instead, you gotta send all your scores, your TOEFL scores, your high school transcript, to an organization called WES. So this organization will review all your scores to see that these records are official, it's not something you fabricate yourself, and then they'll verify it and then send it to FIT instead. Most of the students will be in associate degree in their first years and first 2 years, and then they'll go to upper division, which is your courses for your bachelor degree. So for example, as me, I want to get my bachelor degree in FIT, but I have to go for a 1 year or 2 year associate degree in FIT first, then to my bachelor. The good thing about this is that because you have 2 years and 2 years, the first 2 years you can go for a major, and then after these 2 years, if you want to switch a major or you found you have another passion about other things, you can switch your major for your upper division, or you can leave the school for a year or something and then come back for your bachelor's degree. This is important for international students because for this 2+2 system, that means you have 2 student visa, and each F1 visa will have an additional year for your work. That's OPT. So many traditional college, they only have 1 4-year visa. That means that students will only have 1 year OPT after their 4 years college. But FIT, because they have 2, so you will have 2 OPT time in your school life. But the OPT year for your first visa can be used only before your next school starting. So like if I'm ending my first degree this May and I'm continuing for my bachelor degree in this September, I only can use my OPT for the summertime. But something FIT allows is that you can apply to OPT after May, and let's say you start your work during the summer and you find you like your work better than going back to school. You can tell the FIT that, oh, I want to continue my work for another year and come back to school next fall. They'll push back your admission to next fall, so you don't have to apply again. You just come to school the next year. There are dorms on the campus. There are 4, 3 across the street and 1 in a few blocks away. The 3 on the block is for freshmen, which are Nagler, Co-ed, and Alumni Hall. And I lived in the dorm for a year during my freshman year. It was really convenient because you don't really have to get up early and take the train and whatever to come to school. I can just wake up 10 minutes or 20 minutes before class, get dressed, and go to class. FIT have strict regulation on parties and alcohols and things like that. They always say that this is a dry campus, so we can really have house party or any party in our dorm. I will constantly walking in the hallway to check if there's anything going on in a room, or to make sure everyone's safe and everyone's behaved. So because of that, there aren't many house parties or that kind of stuff. Oh, another thing is that we don't really have a Greek life here. I believe we have one fraternity, but it's not that big, and because we don't really have male in our school, we don't really have house parties, we don't really have frat house party, things like that. Most of the people will just go to the bar or go clubbing in the city, enjoy the nightlife. So next I'm gonna talk about my life and my experiences in the FIT. For most of the professors I met are really nice. The classes I took are fun because the professor, they try to make the boring material into something interesting. They cooperate many workshops and projects for us to do during the semester for us to know more about what's gonna be like when we're going into the workplace. There are many projects that I did before. When I was in digital design class, I remember that we had to use InDesign to create many different posters. And for my sales promotion class, I remember that I was in a group term project for a campaign for Pepsi Real Sugar. It was a lot of fun because you can create a lot of things for yourself. You can create a cruise party or whatever you want. The class I took this semester is multimedia presentation. So for this class, I teamed up with 2 girls. We did a series of promotion for the museum at FIT. It is a fashion museum. So for the fairy tale fashion exhibition, we did a podcast. We also did a blog and a PowerPoint presentation for the museum. I remember there's a professor who always show us videos about communication, intercultural communication, so that it's not just series about high-low context or facts about culture, things like that. I did have some professor who's not that nice. I remember there's a professor who would question my nationality in front of the class, and also there are professors who would like to talk about political issues, not in the right way. They're challenging me to talk about my political standpoints for my country. they'll challenge my nationality. At first, when I met this kind of professor, I'll be sad, but think about it. You're paying your tuition to come to the States, and living in this big city alone without your family here, and you're young, you're just 20 years old. I came to the States when I was 18. It is a challenge for me. It is way harder than other students in the school. So, I mean, there are professors who like to BS about this kind of things. You just ignore them because you know you put way more effort and you're working way harder to come to the States and to survive in this school. Another thing about life in FIT is that it is really hard to make friends here. It is not only me. Most of the people felt that way too. And if you're watching other YouTube videos about reviewing FIT, they talk about the same thing too. It is hard. You definitely will make friends here, but something different about FIT from other school is that going to school is like going to work, especially when you're starting to commute. Most of the people here, they already have work, or they're having an internship, or they're trying to get something for their career, and people here might come to school right after their work or go to work right after their class. So it's like coming after work, sit in the classroom for 3 hours, the class ends, next class, or the class ends, get out of the school, go to work, boom, boom, boom. It's different. Definitely people will be like, hey Sarah, do you want to hang right after class? Yeah, there are people who's really nice about it. But most of the people will be like, oh yeah, see you next week, I'll talk to you, but they'll never talk to you. Another thing is that because you'll have different classmates for a different semester, so it's hard for you to have a classmate for a whole year or for a whole 2 years, and especially in AMC or FBM, this kind of large major. You might be a good friend with this person for this semester, you're really nice, you guys are really good, but when you go to the next semester, you barely talk, or you might talk but not as close as you were because you don't have the same schedule. I did have many good friends in FIT. They're really nice and I like them a lot. Because of the schedule, it's kind of hard to maintain your friendship with them, but I still cherish them as my very good friends. For the dorm life, I've only lived in the dorm for 2 years. I've been living co-ed triple one semester, and then I switched to alumni hall. Alumni is a little different. It is suites with 2 rooms, and each room will have 2 residents. I met a few really nice roommates, and I also met some people who aren't that nice. They have really bad habits. They like to borrow everything from you, or they just like to keep everything in the fridge for a year. That's disgusting, but you just gotta deal with it. That's why I wanted to rent my place in the city, because so that you don't really have to deal with this kind of people. You can find your own roommate instead of letting the school to find people to live with you. Oh, actually you can find your roommate yourself, but I didn't do that, so that's why I wasn't that lucky. But also because of that, you can make more friends. So I'm not complaining. I like that, and yeah, I'm living outside and I'm having a better life. So yeah, I'm really lucky to stay in the city and get to go to school in the city. And yeah, if you like it, please subscribe or like the video. That's my review about FIT. And if you have any questions about the school or the life in New York City, please comment below. Thanks for watching. Bye!